Your Excellency, my dear brothers and sisters, God's providence assures us that nothing happens by chance. We rightly open these commencement exercises with the Holy Mass. This year, on May 13, just over 100 years ago, in 1917, on this very day, God sent His Blessed Mother to Fatima with the warning of impending crisis if the message that she carried were not followed. At the heart of this message was the call to penance and prayer. There were grave difficulties in this year 1917. Europeans were dealing with material distress, unemployment, anti-clericalism, and the specter of foreign enemies. Especially World War I and the Russian Revolution caused great fear throughout the world. Soldiers started to return to their home with stories of horrors that the communist Russian regime was inflicted. Has much changed since 1917? I would contend that the situation is much graver, not only in terms of barbaric war, again in the heart of Europe, and evolving atheist Russia. The liquidation of God from our lives is even more tragic. More and more countries are detaching themselves from their roots, from their Christian roots, in what St. John Paul II called a silent apostasy. Not only has God been abolished, but the reality of evil is being buried. Evil is good, good is evil. Love becomes the satisfaction of several primal sexual instincts, and the truth are all relative. Since the individual is the only point of reference, we get by without any binding rules. Everyone can interpret the Church's message in his own way, adapting it to his own idea to create nightmare paradise. The disparity is especially significant with respect to moral questions. When God is abandoned and the Church and her teachings are seen as irrelevant, man no longer knows who he is. He loses his reason and becomes blind. He rejects the laws of his nature and looks to recreate himself. Nowhere is this ethical fatalism seen more tragically than in gender ideology and the disregard of human life, whether abortion in the womb of a mother or euthanasia, sweetened as so-called assisted suicide. What follows is spiraling unfettered violence. If we pass laws to strike an innocent child in the womb or to cut short the existence of a defenseless elder person, what is there to stop man from taking the life of someone considered to be an enemy or a threat? Even the piles of corpses in the concentration camps and the perverted feasts of destruction of two worlds have taught us nothing. Such developments should shake us and not surprise us. As we heard in today's first reading from the book of Genesis, after Adam and Eve had sinned, God said to the serpent, I will put enmity between you and the woman. He will strike you a head, and you will strike his heel. Here, in the very first pages of sacred scripture, we find the announcement of an unending battle between Satan and human beings. The role of the Blessed Mother in this ongoing battle is pivotal, as St. John Paul II highlighted in his encyclical letter Redemptoris Mater. The Mother of the Redeemer, I quote, Mary, present in the Church as the Mother of the Redeemer, takes part as a mother in that monumental struggle. Indeed, we find the very last book of the Bible also speaking of a battle. A woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars, as she prepares to give birth to a son whom Satan tries unsuccessfully to devour. The battle is ferocious, but will won. Mary's Immaculate Heart triumphs. In this perduring monumental struggle, we too need to take Mary as our mother. There is no one more efficacious or closer to Jesus than his mother. She who was born without the inherent flaws of sin. Today's gospel presents one of the final acts of Jesus' before his death. From the cross, Jesus looks at his beloved disciples standing next to his mother and says, "Behold your mother." The same verse continues, "From that hour, the disciple took her into her own home." We too are invited to take Mary into our own home, or even better, into our own affairs, into every aspect of our lives. Like Mary, and with her help, our task, not least through our association with the college that bears the name of Christendom, is to generate and regenerate fallen men to turn back to God. Make no mistake, this college and all of us here are engaged in a battle on behalf of mankind. At Fatima, Mary shows us the weapons: prayer, pray and do penance. The reason is clear. Prayer turns us away from a self-centered and unbridled individualism and back to God. That is why prayer ultimately consists of remaining in silence for a long time. We wait for him to come to us in the smallest of whispers, to recreate us in the immensity of God. In the silence of prayer, we obtain peace, peace in the world, and peace in our souls, especially by praying the rosary as a weapon for these battles, both physical wars and internal struggles. Penance involves our body in the search of God in silence of prayer. We deny this body not only foods, but also certain pleasures and basic biological needs out of love of God, for God, to nurture an interior disposition. Mother Teresa tells us, God could do nothing for someone already full. You have to be completely empty to let him in to do what he wills. That is why, for the beginning of Christian tradition, chastity, virginity, consecrated celibacy, and fasting became indispensable expression of the primacy of God and of the faith in him. Dear brothers and sisters, let's never forget that the Baccalaureate Mass was celebrated on the May 13, the memorial of Our Lady of Fatima. Let's allow the final command of Jesus to us: his parting gift to us, his last words to sink deeply into our hearts and bring us great joy. Behold your mother. Amen.